Welcome everyone to the Susu podcast, the first one of its kind, a Futera United fan show. I'm honored to play host for you, but really the stars of our show and the stars of our podcast is George and Blue. Boys, round of applause. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you for having us.
How are we feeling? On the inaugural Susu podcast? And before we get to that, I just wanted to go for the agenda today. What we're going to go through is who is Futera United? What do we stand for? What will the pod do? Kind of what are we going to talk about? How the game's gotten different. And then also we'll really talk football. And what's going to make this podcast different is that we're going to talk technical. We're really going to talk the technical side of the game and then also expose you to the human side of the players. And so it's going to be a mesh of behind the scenes of a club, but also we're not going to be scared to talk tactics. George and Blue here are a special combination of the game to break it down for those that want to talk advanced tactics, and then those like me with my goofy American accent who are going to ask more of the layman's questions. We'll have a balance for all audiences, but really we want your questions. We want your feedback. Give us the hard questions. Give us the easy ones. Over to you, George, first. How are we feeling on this inaugural Susu podcast?
Good. I'm excited. It'll be fun. I was obviously in the original NFT purchase and then popped out for a few years and then sort of missed the bargain with get back into it. So I'm excited to get started and give a bit of a view on the coaching side and offer hopefully some insight.
I love it. And Blue, we're going to pop to you next. Tell us a little bit about yourself as well and how you feeling on the inaugural Susu podcast day.
I think he's gone to get a coffee by the looks of it. When did you join Futera United then, Plants?
So by myself, I joined when the NFT bull run around August 2021. I think Futera came a couple months later. I thought it was really interesting. I wasn't really massive into jumping on these NFT projects. I thought the technology was interesting and figured, let me do it in areas that I'm interested in, sports, right? So sports are really interesting to me. This new technology is interesting. The club was the perfect blend of that. So I'm going to say I've seen all the seasons. I'm an OG, but an OG in terms of pure fan. I've learned the sport while watching the team and asking questions to folks like yourself and Blue. So it's kind of really full circle for me to be up here, talk in front of you, to ask some of those questions to fill that gaps of knowledge, right, from watching the game versus really fully understanding it.
Are we calling it soccer or are we going to go football? What are you feeling? You're the host. What are we going to go with?
I'm not going to call it soccer and disgrace it in front of you guys, so we'll call it football.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no.
Have you got a football team previously to Futera United then, or is this your first team?
Yeah, so I would call it love for football, enjoyment of the sport grew in 2014. I was working for three British men, and we would go for a curry every Thursday, and they would sit there and talk football for about an hour and a half. And I realized, if I could talk their language, my job might be a little bit easier. And so I chose Aston Villa at the time. Their goalkeeper was the great American goalkeeper. What's his name? The bald guy. Forget his name right now.
Brad
Guzan. Brad Guzan. They were owned by Randy Lerner, a good American. And then they also hadn't won since 1982. And my club, my school was 1981, hadn't won since then. I also believe that Villa has the second most games won in the top flight, and it hadn't been good in a long time. And I was like, this sounds like my type of club, because all the teams that I root for haven't won in a really long time, but they have a good history, but they just haven't been good in a really long time. And the last thing before I'll pass it back to you, because I'd love to learn more about your football rooting history, is that it's not in London. It blows my mind that 16 clubs are all 1 mile apart. That sucks. I don't want that. I want to go to a city and dominate it. And I was like, wait, Birmingham is 2.5 million people. It's a massive city, and every club there sucks except for Villa. I like that. So Villa is the center of the Mecca football universe. ever since I became a fan, we've gone down and up, and then Unai God has come in and absolutely revolutionized the way things have happened. So I'm on a cloud 9 right now, but I want to hear about your journey. Yeah.
I'm an Ipswich fan, so we currently in the top flight, enjoying the ride. But no, Ipswich fan since birth. Sort of family inheritance of being Ipswich, but a massive football fan. Demonstrated behind me with some European flags. I went on a little Champions League tour a couple of years ago to watch some Champions League football, which was fun. And then sort of staying in the NFT space, I got into So Rare. I don't think that's So Rare, sort of an NFT card game. And then Futera United, all the cards, big Futera card fan. And then they made me a club and I was like, I'll jump on board, but then work and everything else got in the way. But I thought I've got time now to jump back in.
Well,
so that's good.
That's awesome. I think that there's a good overlap there with Blue Clot as well, with the So Rare, and then you're not on camera today, Blue. Remember, we got a beautiful PFP of your guy up today, but
that's right, mate. I'm fully aware of that. That's why I was holding. I was holding for everybody else there. I was holding a couple of my Futera cards up for George to see that.
Yeah, he has the signed one. I have mine.
Well, this is. I've got one here, which is from Gal Bassana, which is one of our players. So this was just for Futera players. Apologies if you hear my cockerel in the background, by the way.
So for those watching, Blue Cloud just put up one of the limited edition Gail Bassana one-on-one cards. I actually am going to grab one, and I'll put it up on the camera later because I do have one here locally. But yeah, we don't have Blue on camera today. So
are they only physical cards then, or did you get more physical cards before?
No, they're the only physical cards that we've done. We've sort of said this season, can we do another one, another run?
Yeah.
And yeah, so hopefully, I'm hoping for probably Captain Itifon, aka Jew. That would be a good one, I think. But yeah, I'm bang on So Rare, bang on obviously Futera cards and Futera United fanatic. But that's how it goes. So Rory Delap, yeah, bit of Ipswich, bit of Mr. Rory Delap doing bits for you at the moment, isn't he?
Well, his son is Liam, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm still in class.
Liam's class, to be fair. He's class signing.
He's got so much ability. He just hasn't put it all together yet. You can see it. If he puts everything together, he could be a world-class striker.
Yeah, his movement off the ball and everything is, he's class. I'll rate him highly. I think we just missed him, that cohesion of a team sort of thing to keep us in the league, hopefully. But it's a separate discussion, which is current situation.
It is, but football's relevant. Well, this is the thing. So even with the stuff like with Man United's new manager, Amorim, so obviously now people are going to start talking about various different tactics that he's using, and then that's going to feed back into world football. People are going to start adjusting their tactics upon that, and you constantly see these waves back and forwards of formations, and that you'll see somebody do something and you think, oh wow, yeah, I can do that in my team. So I mean, we're going to see it is relevant talking about stuff like other Premier League football managers, Premier League football teams, because it does end up feeding back into world football. Otherwise, we'd still be playing 4-4-2s. R.I.P. Sven.
Yeah.
Sven got Ericsson for you, Ryan, at Plants. It's old England manager. It was a 4-4-2 pod.
That's what I play on FIFA, because I know where they're supposed to be, and I can I know. That's, again, for the folks watching, that's why we've got levels of understanding to this pod. We're here for everybody, all sorts of levels. And with that, all right, boys, I'd like to transition from the world football stage to our world, the world that we center around, the Susu world, and that is Futera United. So I'd like to pass it to Blue to give us a little, what is Futera United? And while we do that, Blue, I'm going to have on screen our starting 11. So feel free to talk to that whenever you'd like. But overall, tell us about what is Futera United, a little bit of history, and then we'll talk starting 11.
Right, so Futera United is the brainchild of Futera trading cards. They are the overall owners, if you like, of Futera United. Futera United was started from the bottom up, grassroots. We didn't want to take over all the guys that started it, didn't want to take over a team and change the way that they work, because you'd be changing the entire ethics of a club. You can't really buy a club in Thailand and then make it an English club, if that makes sense, or make it a European-style club. So we started the club from the bottom up, started in the local league, so Bangkok Premier League. And the whole point of Futera is to allow the fans, the holders, an opportunity to both manage the club and the players and the formation and everything that goes around with that. Little pause there. So the NFTs are a 1-for-1 vote. If you buy an NFT off of either OpenSea or from the Futera United website, once again, apologies for the cockerel in the background, it's a 1-for-1 vote. So every game we essentially will vote on who plays, what formation that we're going to be playing, and then the holders will vote on that afterwards.
I think that's well said. Well said. And on screen, I've got the About Me page from Futera United officially. So you'll see in the link below and also at the top, you can see those URLs. George, what does Futera United mean to you?
What does it mean to me? It's a chance to express and the childhood dream of owning a football club in reality. You always sort of grew up thinking that you could do it better than the rest. So Futera United is that chance to sort of put your knowledge and your excitement into a real life project where you can actually vote on the formation, the players, and everything that goes on. We sort of, the last game we spoke about the formation, changing the formation, changing personnel, which is sort of exciting to be able to do and actually have the real world consequence of will it work, will it not work, and sort of just enjoy the community as well. But like I said, I was in it from the start and then popped out, and then the community's welcomed me back, open arms, and it's been class.
Again, well said. And I think on the screen for me, what it means is accessibility. So whether it's a YouTube channel, in the Discord, the ability to ask the founders, the managers, folks like you, the super fans, so, I would call it the brain trust of the organization. It's about accessibility. So with that, let's bring it to the future. I mean, not the future, the modern day, right? So we talked about how we got here. The modern day we've got on screen. This is what I'm showing on right now is what we had talked about in the Discord with Beam, Poo, G on the back to it. Let's start with you, Blue. Right now, you look at the starting 11 where we're at in 2024. How does it make you feel from where we used to be and where we need to be? What does the starting 11 mean to you right now?
Yeah, so I mean, everything with Futera starts with a conversation, right? We've got our Discord. We have a conversation about what we feel we should change or shouldn't change. And then the voting happens from there. So each season, we sign players generally through trials. We have bought one or two players for extremely minimal fees. We're talking a couple of $100 basically to cover the paperwork and stuff like that. So we need a constant flow of players, which means that our first team is always changing with that. We're obviously being a team that's coming up through the leagues. We're getting players poached by the big boys. We've lost our left inside forward, Bank, who was one of our top scorers to a club, I think a T3 club, so that's the league above us. The current team is still actually full of people that started from the very beginning with us. So our captain, Itifon, is still, he was signed on day one essentially. The same with our goalkeeper, Film. Pang, our right back, is also an original. Fu as well, who's a bit of a wonder kid. He's also been here since the start. So we've still got a lot of the original players that we started with. But looking at the team as it is today, we're essentially trying to slightly change the way that things are working, slightly change the personnel around because we've got some new personnel. So Ram at left back is a new quantity, and we'll see how he works out. Beam at left wing forward, that's BEEM. He is 16 going on 17, still growing, an absolute live wire, but he still needs to grow into the game. So there's still actually a lot this season to see how things work out, see how players fit in. But yes, essentially, I think George will get onto this a bit more. I should say, in terms of our levels here, as Plant said, he's at the beginner stage, if you like, of tactics. I'm an intermediate, and George is an expert. So we'll go back and forth between each other, and you'll hear us asking each other's questions and stuff like that. But the way things are now, with Drew at defensive midfielder, rather than playing centre midfield, he's going to be doing your quarterback role. He's your Javi Alonso from Liverpool from years gone past when they won the Champions League. Taku and Ian Beale ahead of him, they're all energy. So Ian Beale, I should say for those English and non-English, Ian Beale's a character in EastEnders, which is a extremely long-running sitcom on BBC One. Ian Beale's real name is BEW, and it's pronounced Beale. Because obviously they aren't using our letters, they're using their own language, Thai, Siam language, and then translated back into English. So BEW is Beale, so that's basically close enough for Beale, and then we ended up Ian Beale. So the reason we do that is so it's easier for our holders to understand quite quickly who players are, where they are, and what they're doing, kind of thing. So yeah, Drew is our quarterback. Taku and Ian Beale are our energy, and Fu, Beam and Prue are our attacking players, with Fu and Beam being our real sort of live wires there on the wings. Fu or Pooh can take either one, it's up to you. He is now 20, I believe, 19, 20. He's one of the top 3 goal scorers pretty much every season, if not top goal scorer. And he can shoot from anywhere. He can absolutely shoot from anywhere. He can drive forward with the ball. He is quite quick on the ball and with the ball, but he's very direct. He's not somebody that's going to do Ronaldo-style skills. Prue up front, striker, is a new signing this season, along with Golf, who you'll see who's from last season. And another player that we've got in is Nui, Nui, who is a former Thai international. He is in his early to mid-30s now, so he's on the downward spiral of his career. But hopefully he's going to add some experience to the team, because the majority of the team, except for Coach Kuhn at centre-back, Khun, are in their early 20s or teens. So when we come to sort of playing the bigger boys, we've got Club Police Terror in the FA Cup, who are a huge club, who are down a couple of leagues at the moment. It's kind of like playing somebody like a Birmingham or a Blackburn, somebody that's won the League Cup, but has since fallen down the leagues a little bit. So against those bigger boys, you really need that experience from somebody like Nui.
So, Blue, I think that was a fantastic recap of the squad, and I want to pass it to George for his thoughts on where we're at tactically and just any comments on the team. But before we do that, I would not be doing my job if I did not bring out what I consider a black hole is the production out of the striker position, center forward, call it what you like. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that I'm fair to be critical of that production there over time and potentially it going forward?
Do you mean as in us producing our own players from within the team, or just in general output of the forwards?
Like golf, the lack of goal scoring production from strikers, center forwards on our team.
Yeah, it was all good. That was just one of those little
American
using the word production over here. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. We'd be thinking about sort of youth systems and producing your own players and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's been our biggest problem for many a year, and that's why we've relied on having left and right wing forwards. That's where our goals have generally come from. Golf is good for a tap-in, And I think he's fantastic for 7-a-side. He tends to get lost on an 11-a-side pitch, and I don't think his movement is good enough. I think he's actually better as a right winger or a right wing forward. But it is something we've massively struggled with over the years. Part of that is the way that we play, or the way that we want to play. So can your striker bring it down? Can they run quickly with the ball? What is their style of play, and how do we accommodate that within the team? Now, to be honest, Nui can bring the ball down, but he's not a big guy. He's not a fast guy. So if we're talking about someone like Nui, we're relying on his experience and nous to get him to where he needs to be. We're also relying on him to not have to carry the ball. We're relying on him to basically be in position already, and the ball to be carried up the pitch by, let's say, left wing forward, right wing forward, and then to pass it into him. Pro seems a lot more direct. Golf is a little bit more of a goal hanger. I think it'd be better off to throw over to George as to how it would be better to introduce each of those into the team and say none of them are big guys. Golf and Pro are faster, but are not a speed demon at all. So how do you work players which really don't have a speciality in any category, if you like, into a team? They're an all-rounder, but not fantastic at any particular ability.
Nui can sort of hold the ball up, though, you said?
Yeah, I think he can hold the ball up. He can potentially, against a big centre-back, he might struggle, but I think he could even take the ball from goalkeeper. Goalkeeper kick sort of thing.
Yeah.
Long ball out. I don't know how well...
If you put him as the focal point as the striker, play him as the 9, and then have his two sort of quicker wingers through and beam either side of him to sort of let him hold it up and then get him to play from him sort of thing. And then if you have Ian, Bill and Taku that can then sit in the 10 sort of attacking midfielder role, get him to hold it up, drop it off to them, and then they can get it wide, go forward sort of thing. Yeah,
I mean, I'd say getting the ball out wide at the right time has been one of the biggest issues that I've seen in the friendly games.
Yeah, last game definitely we didn't get the ball wide enough at all last game by the looks of it.
Especially as you're saying, like, let's say Nui gets the ball, he's only really going to be somewhere. He's going to be in the opposition half, but he's not going to be far outside the centre circle. He's going to give him another like 40, 30 yards that he's got to get to the goal. He really has got to get it out wide quickly to one of the wide players who need to be rushing on. They need to be not necessarily on the shoulder of the defender, but they need to be close to it. And they also need to have some paint on their boots, because they're getting dragged inside far too much, and then it ends up being like 4-2-3-1, but you're basically playing 3 attacking midfielders rather than, so I do think that perhaps rather, if you've got Nui holding the ball up, would you be better off playing an attacking midfielder behind him for him to link with, rather than a defensive midfielder and 2 centre midfielders? So having 2 centre midfielders and an attacking midfielder.
This is where it all gets. So when I coach my teams, you'll have 3 formations. So you've got a neutral formation, which is the formation that you start with. That's your 4-3-3, and then you've got your in possession formation, which means when we've got the ball, we'll have the 4-3-3 basically turns into a 4-2-1-3, where you'll have a holding midfielder next to a central midfielder, then a 10 will go alongside the 9 to support him on the ball. Then you have your wingers nice and wide. So as the ball comes, you've got the centre midfielder that's come from the 8 role into the 10, then support him on the ball. This working is what we're going to demonstrate what I'm talking about. It's easier for viewers. Up to you.
So you're basically going to create like 3 people that can work together in the centre of midfield, or should I say in the attacking midfield role, and you're going to have the wingers out wide as... Yeah.
So you have...
I mean, football is a game of consequences. Everything that you do has a knock-on effect to everything else. And this is part of the beauty of it, and the devil of it is you think that you're changing something for the better, and it can make something worse elsewhere on the pitch. You might lose cover for your left backs and right backs and get caught on the counter. It's a game. Really, is a game of consequences. So you can change things to your heart's content, and maybe not change anything at all.
You see that?
Yeah, I can see that, mate.
Basically, neutral formation would be 4 and then a 3 with a 6 and 2 8s. The holding midfielder and then 2 centre midfielders. Then when we've got the ball, one of these wins here, and then these 2 become these 12 here. So you're basically playing off the striker, when you're staying wide. So ball's here, you can then set it back to play here, so then hit the diag in the area to get us gone, to get us up, to get us up, to get us up, to then go into that role there. So basically, in possession, you'd have looking a bit more like that, with this player being the deeper role here.
Yeah, so just to describe to everybody else, that's 4 at back, and then you're basically playing 2 defensive midfielders, 1 attacking midfielder, and then you've got 2 wingers and a striker.
Yeah. But these wouldn't be defensive, these would transition from... So that's our sort of neutral. You hold a midfielder, 2 centrals, and then the triangle rotates to get like that.
Yeah, so dual will push off from defensive midfielder into centre midfield alongside either Beam or Taku, and one of them would go. And I think that communication with that midfield 3 is also something that isn't quite there at the moment. Who stays, who goes, who's giving the communication. I think that communication is something that they do need to work on. I mean, it's not difficult to say, I'm going to stay, you go. Just to let them know. It's not
picking the right moments as well, to have that middle 3 should be constantly rotating and moving depending on where the ball is, depending on where they are, to provide cover in sort of set positions. Say the ball's on the right, then you might shuffle to the right, and then the triangle moves that way. It's not saying one player always goes into the attacking midfielder role. It might be different moments, different players go.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that works? I mean, obviously now we're going to get onto stuff like, are you attacking? Are you counter-attacking? Like how... Yeah, what's your thoughts on that kind of thing? Because I think as soon as we come against the big boys, the bigger teams, we're going to have to counter-attack. And I do think that what you said about having 3 formations, don't think that that's quite the case with us. And I wish it was, like 3 formations into 1. Mark and the other guys have always said, you have to... guys, because if you overcomplicate it, you just... We don't have Premier League players here who can't expect Premier League results.
Yeah.
By the way, I actually learnt a lot just from watching Match of the Day and the mistakes that they make to stop myself from shouting at Futera players, because Futera players will make exactly the same mistakes that Manchester City players will make. It's you know, it happens all around football. Everybody makes mistakes. It's a normal part of the game.
Yeah. I think on that comment I'm making it to, so I coach a couple of teams, different levels, and I coach a girls team, and they're under 16 sort of players. They can understand as long as it's explained and put into the correct way for them to understand.
Visualization.
And simplifies it. It's like they'll understand it if you sort of do sessions that get repetition and get them understanding. It won't be too complicated. Like we're not trying to play with sort of inverted wingers or inverted fullbacks and getting overlaps and underlaps and that sort of stuff. We're just saying keep it simple. Wingers get wide, support the striker, make sure we're covering areas.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I always think of, you know, for those of you that have played FIFA, you used to always just get to the byline, cut it inside and tap in. It was such a simple goal to score against people. And I know it oversimplifies things, but we really just do need to get the ball up the line to the byline, get it into the box, and let somebody tap it in the goal. Like, there's too many early... They scored past us. I don't know if you've got the clip plants to put up the goal we conceded in the last game. If not, I'll
pull
it over to you.
Don't worry.
I just sent it. I'll send it to you now, hopefully, if you've got it. You can see there, the sort of first ball in behind, sort of hit the areas, put it across the goal, tap in.
Yeah.
And it was,
beautiful counter-attacking move.
Yeah. that came from us not stepping out as well. If you look at the clip, you can see that the two holding midfielders have stayed deep and not added pressure to the sort of ball.
Well, this is one of the things that you really wanted to dig into, wasn't it? The pressing. And the lack of pressing, I should say, and who should press, because I was actually getting it wrong. And this is one of the things I was saying about George really knows his stuff. He's done coaching badges, etc. I've just watched a lot of football. So when I was saying, it should be your striker or your attacking midfielder that triggers the press, you was correcting me and say it actually should be one of your centre midfielders that triggers the press.
Yeah, basically, because the striker can trigger it, but he's got to get support from the solid midfielder, because if he goes, he needs spacing behind him that's going to get play around him. So it should be a call from behind him that says, yeah, trigger, let's go. Then they step out, to join. We're stepping as a 4. We're stepping as a 4 rather than a 1. So a press is when everything presses together. Otherwise, if it's just one person, you're basically closing the ball down. You're not actually pressing the ball.
Yeah, you just step out of position.
Yeah, it needs to be a unit together as a press. So that's where it comes. It comes from behind to sort of say that's our moment. Now go, and then we go as a group.
Yeah, I mean, pressing as a team is an art in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. But that comes from fundamentals of sort of knowing the steps to press. It's not just simple as running towards the ball. It's you've got to make sure you're getting your body side on and going away from danger, but also you're leading them to a place where you've got players that can help you.
Yeah, setting traps, essentially.
Yeah.
Whether we could do that or not, I don't know, but I do think that you could at least say...
Very United is unique because we have the power to implement it.
Well, this is it, and as I was saying before, enough discussion in the Discord ends up in votes.
Yeah.
Or just, if it makes sense, the guys will change it.
Yeah.
There's no point in voting on something where it's obvious that it doesn't work, for instance.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't vote on the silly stuff. We don't frivolously vote, but we have, over the years, we've had hundreds of votes. I think I counted back a couple of seasons ago and it was already up to 200 votes we'd had.
Wow.
We've got 3-4 votes every week in season.
Yeah.
But as you were saying earlier, for me, it really is like a chance to express sort of everything that you've learned over the years. In a space which is kind of a bit of a safe space, if you like, because we're all, in a way, we're all amateurs, So I think a lot of people think if they say something, it'll sound silly, but that's not the case at all. Plants, is there anything that we've spoken about that you're absolutely lost with? A lot, by the sound of it, a lot.
Width on the pitch, but I'm looking at the formation right now, and we've got our midfielders look very central, and so it's the idea that Pooh and Beam need to track back, but then there's no one over top to give kind of, I would say, space vertically. So how does the formation shown here complement the strategy of giving width on the pitch?
Well, let's go back to, let's say that instead of playing a little triangle in the midfield where we've got Dewin, defensive midfielder, and Taco and Ian Bill centre midfield. If we were to play a flat 3, so that all centre midfielders, and I still expect this, you would expect, let's say, so Dew's in the centre of midfield, Ian Bill's on his right, Taco's on his left. Taco and Ian Bill's job is to move out to give us width, especially if we're being... essentially, they shouldn't all be running forward. There should be one going forward, maybe two going forward. There should always be at least one staying back. If you've got a counter or something, then George, please correct me here. I would expect Taco on the left to be helping out the left back. I would expect Ian Bill on the right, as long as they're not in an attacking position, to be helping out Pang on the right back, as well as Fu. I've always had this thing where you can make a box on the pitch, anywhere on the pitch, and there should be at least 3 of your players that are able to attack or defend the ball at any one time. So if I draw a little box around the right back position, I want there to be at least 3 players, your right back, and then I'm hoping a centre midfield and your winger coming back to help. It's not always going to work out like that, and that's just something that I've got going around in my head. It's not necessarily something which is.
Are you talking about in the ball? Are you talking about with the ball plants or without the ball? What are you talking about?
I'm thinking about with the ball. And one of the things, I only know literally from watching Villa. So I watch all the Villa games. I know their tactics, and one of theirs is their left back and right back get really far forward, so that those midfielders essentially become attacking players when you're with the ball.
Emery's got a thing where he likes to attack from every single channel.
That's awesome.
When you look at the pitch, there's, I think, 5 channels, is it, George?
It depends.
So essentially,
6.
Right, so essentially you think about, you've got your outside where your right back and left back are. That's one channel each, right? And then you've got like your strikers channel down the middle. Well, basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to fill every single channel with an attacking player. That's why Aston Villa will either destroy teams or get mullered at points. George, go ahead, mate, because I'm sort of making a pig's ear of that description.
That's all right. That's good. It all depends on how you play the team. Every formation can be interpreted differently. So for me, when I play 4-3-3, when the fullbacks then get nice and wide as well, and then the holding midfielder, who with us is Jew, drops in to be sort of pivot in between midfield and attacks. Then you've basically got a 3, and then 2 fullbacks getting nice and wide, and then 2 midfielders, and then 2 wingers getting nice and wide of our striker. So we've got lots of width with our fullbacks, and then Jew drops in to help the centre-backs get the ball. So if you watch sort of, the other night I looked back today, they'll do it really well, where they'll sort of split the centre-backs, and then the 6 comes into the hole, receive that pass, then turn and play.
Basically creating a 3 at the back, allowing your left back and right back to get up as wing backs.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's another way. Sorry, say again.
The follow-up question would be, so in Thailand, there's a style of body that's different than you see typically in England, which is also more international with all the different folks from all around the world coming in the Premier League. Thailand's a little bit different. We're in an all-Thai league, has to be Thai players. How does that impact our style of play? And is there anything...
You're basically saying because they're all 5'5" and 9 stone.
Yeah, you can interpret it how you like. I also find they play in extreme heat, right? So that also has got to impact playing 90 minutes on a football pitch. I just curious how the style of person and the style of weather may impact tactics, and is there any advantage that we can get there?
But yeah, personnel is determines what formation you're going to play. There's no point playing the 4-3-3 if you've got really slow wingers. You sort of, if you've got small, tricky wingers, you then want to get the ball in behind to get them running onto it to then get them to attack. If you've got a nice, stocky striker that's able to hold the ball up well, then you want to play into them and then maybe play it into feet in the midfield. If you've got players that can ping a ball perfectly, you then play the ball into the centre midfield and get them pinging it into areas. If you've got a player that has a long throw, look at sort of, like earlier, like the lap, you then try and win the throw in to get the ball into the box. It all, personnel makes a massive sort of factor of how you're going to set up and play. If you've got 3 unbelievable centre-backs, you go to a 3 at the back with 5 midfield. All personnel is massive.
So we do have 3 good centre-backs, but what we don't have is any good wingers. We've got wing forwards, but not wingers. People that cross the ball, David Beckhams, right? We don't have any David Beckhams or anything like that, which is why we've kind of, as you were saying earlier, it might look a little narrow, but that's because of the way that the formation is set up, because we don't have any wingers. So you're going to rely on your wing forwards to give you your width, but you're going to understand they're going to be much further up the pitch and essentially diagonal runs rather than staying vertical the whole time. You know when you describe something, it doesn't even make sense to yourself. But yeah, so essentially we don't really have any wingers. So we can't really play those kind of formations. So a 4-4-2 for us isn't going to work because we don't have anybody that can cross the ball in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And we don't have a big striker who can receive those balls. So you're going to have to think more. And this is what partly why our ethos is often keep the ball and play it along the ground. Keep it on the floor, you know.
Yeah. I think at some moment you have to be able to hit channels and hit sort of in behind to get runners onto the ball. Sort of overhitting that pass. Like just going back to the last game, like we didn't. I didn't just get the ball in behind once to sort of hit an area to sort of run onto.
No, we actually ended up falling back into, rather than being a 3 up front, we ended up being a 1 up front with a 3 behind.
Yeah.
Which is, it sounds like a small difference, but it is quite a large difference. It's all about starting positions and things like that. So if they're going to sit deep, then they kind of mess up the whole formation. And that was one of the issues last time. So Beam, our left winger, also plays attacking mid, which has given us the problem of him being inside, in centre of the pitch too often.
Yeah, right, back down there.
Yeah, it just compacts everything. You've basically got too many people in the same place trying to do the same job.
So at this time right now, I do want to take a moment and thank our show sponsor. Without our show sponsor, right, this wouldn't be possible. So really want to thank the Kicks app, www.thekicksapp.com. You know, definitely go check it out. At the end of this pod, we will have an additional breakdown on what that app can offer, really how it can help your football overall. Now, I did not want to break up the flow of talk there because that was fantastic between you boys talking about how the players are really going to fit into the formations. But again, thank you to our show sponsor, the Kicks app. Now, Blue Clot, you're looking at this season, right? We're getting ready for our second round matchup in the Chang FA Cup because we got that first round bye. I'm curious, you and George, I'll give it to you first, Blue. What is your biggest concern going into game one?
With the FA Cup with Police Terror, it is the player size. They're going to be big players. They're going to be a lot larger in size, weight, stature, and confidence. So we're going to have to be smart tactically and hope that they don't play their first string of players. Hope that they underestimate us is basically where I am at.
George, what are your thoughts?
This is new territory for me. This is what I sort of wanted the podcast to learn about this sort of stuff. So I've not seen Police Terror, if I've said that correctly.
Terror.
Terror.
Yeah, and they are the police team.
Okay, so I've not seen them before, so it'd be interesting to see what it's like. I think for me, it's just give it a go. The FA Cup's always a sort of, if it's the same as in England, it's a big cup. All the teams are in it, sort of thing. Can be a good journey. Just don't go into it just expecting the worst. Just go, give it a go, enjoy it, and sort of get at them, sort of thing. When is the game then? Just for the audience to know.
I'm going to have to look that one up. So the awkward thing this season has been
There's a question I do have on screen for everyone, the Wikipedia page for Police Tarot. Just want to pull out some of the highlights here. Capacity of their stadium is about 3,500. They were established in 1992, but it looks like they do have a pretty rich history. They've won the Thai League 1. That's the goal, right? Well, the goal is to win the entire Asian Champions League, but
I've actually
the Thai League, right? 2 of those.
Lads, I caught up. It's not Police Terror, it's Navy.
Oh, we're playing Navy, not Police
Playing
Terror.
Navy FC, and it's the same deal with them. Former winners of both the league and the Queen Cup and all that. But apologies, because I said that earlier on in the podcast as well. So you might just want to do that bit again. Maybe
you just are doing some foreshadowing that we're going to get the victory. Oh, wow. So I pulled this one up. More impressive. Starts in 1956. They also, since the inception of the Thailand, they played under their. Okay. Let
me just say, where did this bit out? Yeah, and then we'll edit back in. So 1 second. I'll preface it. This will make sense once I say it. Oh, actually, I think I got it wrong. It's not Police Terror. It's Navy FC that we've got in the FA Cup. So it's a similar deal. They're a big club. They won both the League Cup and the Queen Cup. I just got the team wrong there. Apologies for that. Have you been looking into them at all?
Say it again there, Blue?
Have you looked into Navy at all?
Yeah, right now I have on the screen, I just pulled up their Wikipedia page. I've got their honors. It looks like they were the runner-up in 2006. They were founded in 1956. Their capacity, their stadium, oh man, 13,000.
Wow, okay, 13,000, that's decent, yeah.
So we played them at their place then?
Drawn, we're at home.
We're at home.
Okay, that'd be good then.
I love it. They're going to the dome. That's not a dome. For everyone, that's a Discord joke.
Yes. We call it the Futera Dome. Open bracket, not a dome, closed bracket.
And what date's that? Make people look out for it to come watch. Have you got a date for it yet, or?
There should be, but I can't see it immediately. I might have to dig a little bit.
So while we look that up, the way the club's being run right now is they're doing a series of friendlies. There's been at least one a week for 6 weeks running. Played a variety of teams. Again, we're in the League 4. The goal is to get to 1. Right now, Navy completed League 3, so they are the one above us, but they're historically a top flight club with a top flight proper stadium. George, any thoughts while we're looking at that on this matchup or just the Thai league in general you'd like to share?
Yeah, again, pretty new to it. So this is where we're looking at learning. This is my sort of area that I want to learn how it works and stuff. So we're currently at Tier 4, and then regionally split, I believe. So we're Bangkok region, and then hopefully go up and up and up and up. That's the plan. It's been interesting learning about Thai football, sort of how it works. Having a police team, having a Navy team is also quite interesting to learn about, and how we can play against them and how it works, sort of thing.
Right, so I've actually found the match listed on Google, and they're down as Siam Navy on here. So it's Futera United versus Siam Navy, 20th of November, 8 a.m.
I've got it up on the screen. Second round.
Perfect.
Let's see if we can buy some tickets. Nope.
We get them for free, mate. We don't pay. Pay for tickets. We got a lifetime season tickets, haven't we? That is
true. That is one of the perks of NFT, and I would want to give a shout out to the club. There's been a couple of NFT holders that have gone over there, and one of them has trained with the club. Meraki got to train with the club. How many? Give me some more, Blue. Who else has been there? I know sat on the bench for match games. What else?
Yeah. J&A went out there. A couple of people have been out there. So Meraki's, I think Meraki was an ex-under-21 Scottish international. A knee injury, bad knee injury, but I believe...
U18, I think.
Under 18s was it, right. Yeah, so he was actually out with West Ham in Australia at the time, and then went from there over to us. But yeah, generally, if anybody comes over to the match, Mark, Luke, Connor, the guys that run the club, they will put you pretty much, if they can, on the subs bench to watch the match. Like, if you're a holder and you go over, they will give you, like, you'll be in the dressing room, you'll be everywhere about the club, you know. They really do give you sort of VIP experience. I can't wait. Hopefully next year, but we'll wait and see on that. It's my one of my next, it's a bucket list at least, go out to Thailand, but now we've got Futera out there, it makes sense. I'm even thinking of moving out there in years to come, who knows?
Yeah, we're in Division 1.
Yeah, that's it. Because you've got the Asian Champions League, which covers Thai League, and you've now got the Asian Champions League 2, which is Invitation, I believe. So there is a couple of, I think there's at least 4 teams out of T1 at the moment playing in the Asian Champions League, and that's against your Al Hilals, against your Teresa Osakas or your Frontal, depending on who you know in Japan, your J1, your K1, Ulsan. I think Ulsan won the league. Pohang, all these kind of teams are teams that you can play. So, I mean, they really are massive, massive fixtures.
Yeah.
this last season, is it Bangkok FC won the FA Cup, which got them into one of those, and they were in League Two. They've been promoted, and I believe they're actually top of League One now. Wow. They're absolutely killing it. But there's so much scope for moving forward, and we have been moving forward season upon season, and that's been the beauty of it, really. It's a 15-year plan that we've got to make it into the Asian Champions League, essentially.
And we've got 4 years deep? Is it four?
Yeah, 4 years in.
Yeah.
We've only got 3 leagues left to go until we're in the top league. We've already been through, we started at Bangkok League 4, so you have to go to League 1 of Bangkok, and then you have to go from Bangkok to TSP. So that's where we are at the moment. We've gone through all those leagues.
So, Blue, you're talking about the history here. How do you feel about our games now? I mean, we've been in the short end of the stick of quite a few of these friendlies versus when we came up, we won basically every game 10-1, 12-2, 3-0.
Well, we've only lost 3 league games in our entire history.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you feel about close games versus absolute blowouts? It's weird, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the thing is, back to how I feel about the friendlies, that every team that we've played so far has been at least 1 league above us. And
that's it then.
The reason for that being that they want to get the players used to playing against bigger teams, especially as we're playing FA Cup before we actually have the start of the league.
Yeah.
Which is a bit awkward in itself if you think about getting your players pre-season, getting them up to full match fitness throughout the league. Well, we're not getting any of that. We're just getting thrown straight into it. The teams that we're going to be playing are going to be halfway through their season, a third of the way through their season, at full match fitness, at full tilt. So we're going to be at a massive disadvantage just with that. And that's the league's problem. That's the problem.
But we've only got 10 games, haven't we, this year? Is it less games this year now?
No, it's the same amount of games. It's just pointless. Why would you have a development league that doesn't play enough games to develop players?
Yeah.
If you were, let's say you were a club, a Premier League club, and you were to loan a player out, you would not loan them to a team that was playing in a league with 10 games because it would not be worth it. They'd be better off playing for your under 18s.
Yeah.
So there is a major problem there. The lucky thing about that is because 7-a-side football is as big as, or indoor football, 7-a-side football is as big as 11-a-side in Thailand.
Wow.
You'll see a lot of Man United greats, Liverpool greats, etc. go out and do 5-a-side tournaments. A lot of that happens in Thailand. It means that on the flip side, our players are constantly keeping their fitness up. On the flip side of that coin, it means that they never have a downtime. So they're playing, 365 days a year they're basically playing. So there is no sort of off season. So there is no pre-season necessarily, but there's no off season either. Do you know what I mean? The culture there is a little bit skew when we look at it, but that's looking at it from a European or a Western eye.
All right, boys. So we're hitting here almost at the hour mark. We've got 4 minutes left. My thoughts process is I'd like a little recap from you guys each, kind of closing thoughts about maybe you can do it the status of the club or just whatever you'd like to extend to that. And then at the very end, again, I want to thank our show sponsor, the Kicks app. And I believe Joe are just going to do the speaking on our behalf so folks can learn more about that experience. Blue, I'm going to send it to you for your final thoughts. Then we'll pass it for George, and then he can give us the show sponsor notes as well. So, Blue, over to you.
Yeah, so really it's about improving our tactics to fit the team, not changing them completely, just tweaking them. And that's what we're sort of partly getting into, and the training techniques that maybe need to be looked at to achieve that. If anybody wants any more information about Futura United, it will be on, I'm sure, information at the bottom of this, but if not, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Blue Clark. or just join the Discord and ask as many questions as you like, and we're always there to answer them. It doesn't mean you have to buy an NFT. You can be involved in the journey without voting or getting any voted tokens, the NFTs that we use. You can just come and be a part of the journey. We'll still talk to you. You're still a fan. I bought a beautiful young lady that I'm trying to chat up at the moment at a Futera shirt the other day. You know, we're making fans around the world, mate. That's how it works.
I love it. I love it.
She's not going to be listening to this, so that's all right. I can say that. Or if she was listening, she would have zoned out a long time ago.
The Futera holds the heart of the nation, of the world. And honestly, it's just getting started, and the access is what makes it super special to me. So, George, over to you. Final closing thoughts about the final episode of the Susu podcast and show. And then also...
Final episode? First episode, no? First episode. We're finishing now, are we?
It's the pilot.
We got video. We've got video. We've got the screen. We can upload this on YouTube wherever we'd like. So... again, it's just the start.
Yeah, I think for me, it's sort of looking forward to what we want to bring. Sort of insight is what Blue, who's a Futera United genius, and then Grant, who's a great host, sort of thing, keeping it all tied together. And me, hopefully doing a bit of football insight, sort of coming together as a great group to sort of give insight and give as much knowledge as we can to sort of recap each week or each month of what's going on in Futera United. Because sometimes, from the outside, when I was looking in, you try and jump in, you'd miss so much. I was attacking Blue. Come on, get a podcast. When I'm driving to work, when I'm going to coach, and I just want to have something that I can recap of what is going on that I've missed in the Discord, in my ears, boom, I'm caught up. So this hopefully will be that sort of thing of what we can bring.
Yeah, 100%. So the Discord is sort of fits and starts. At one point you'll have not many people or nobody talking as there's no matches going on, and all of a sudden you'll have 100 messages in one day sort of thing. So it's a bit difficult to get through that for people. So George, this is the app you've developed, the kicksapp.com. Do you want to give us a little rundown of what it is and how to potentially use it?
So yeah, this is sort of your coaching. It's sort of an app that hopefully give coaches the accessibility and easiness to record highlights of the game or create a match report or have a binder of previous games where they can look at and then build session plans and then either put social media posts of the match report to make people see it, or for their own personal, go back and look at what worked for them or didn't work so they can change it. So I find as a coach what I was doing was writing down or try and remember what was going on. Whereas me and a sort of another parent that's into the IT stuff was like, let's make an app where you can record into the app and then it spits out the sort of data for you, and then you can keep track of it. And then in the future, we'll have a session plan feature where we're building our own database of session plans that can give coaches session plans based on the match feedback or based on what they want to work on.
Yeah, look for it. I can see you've done a match report for the last game that we had against Rajapat. It looks really good. It's given you several titles there. You've got match overview, you've got the game's MVP, match highlights, and each of these has got a paragraph underneath it about that player or about how things went. Yeah,
this was going back, just watching it on YouTube to sort of clip up and get an example. But sort of next game, I'm hoping to do a proper one during the game to record it and get a good sort of feedback out there.
So as the game's going on, you just press the record button and say, "Great run down the wing by Fu."
Yeah,
and that's it. And then when you come to the end of the match and you look at it, it would have basically logged that and will bring it back up in the highlights.
Yeah, exactly that. You can get as technical as basic as you want, so it's usually everyone hopefully to sort of, like I said, we're in the testing stage still of gathering feedback and sort of getting where we're at. So I'm hoping Futera United will be able to sort of provide some feedback and then put it on socials for people to see the match reports.
Well, I think this will be great for social media. I mean, Connor, who does our social media at the moment, I'm sure that this will be of help to him rather than having to sit and write it all out. So when you said the MVP for the last game was film our goalkeeper. Has the app picked that from how many times you've said his name and the good things you've said about him, or is that something inputted?
So there's a screen, the screenshot. I'll send it. Basically, it's got stats page as well that you can then input shots on target, saves, shots off target, assists, and all that sort of stuff that I'll send you now as well. So then all the sort of, it gets the stats that you've inputted plus the voice recordings and then gives you feedback on who it should be. So for example, my men's team, I did it on Tuesday and one of our players scored a hat-trick. So then the MVP goes to that player for sort of inputting the goals and stuff.
Send him our way, yeah, we need a striker. We've got an academy, don't worry, we'll take care of him.
Doing some trouble for him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Basically create stats, voice notes, then does it. So that's where we're looking at sort of if we can get people testing it. So obviously if United will test it, then we can get feedback of does it give out the right MVP, does it give out the right information?
Yeah.
Yeah, test it, let us know.
It looks really good, mate. Honestly, it's really clear, nice and precise. It hasn't messed up any of the English. If you know what I mean, it's all the grammar's all correct.
George, do you mind showing the app up to your camera for all of us? We've got you a large screen as well. I've been showing your website and some of the interface you dropped in the Discord. A little bit closer to the screen for us. There you go. Much better. Okay. Perfect.
So basically, you go to set club. So I've got 3 clubs that I manage. So I'd go to Tel United, select who we're playing against, the team, the men's team, and then opposition, just anyone to start with. There's already preloaded the team, the players. So I've already the players are already loaded in there.
Yep.
And then start the match. And then we've got start recording, so you can say what you want to say. And then go to the stats page, goals, assists, shots on target, shots off target, saves, all that sort of stuff. Go back to recording, input the scores. That's pretty nice to use and finish match once you're ready, if you can see there.
Yeah,
looks good. Looks yeah, mate, I'm quite impressed. I didn't know what to expect. Obviously, you told me about it before. We said we'd wait until the podcast to actually talk about it. And yeah, mate, I'm really impressed. It's really clear output, isn't it?
It's in development still. That is, but it's going good though. I hope we've got a few testers today and get a Connor. So see if they use it.
I'm sure they will. I don't see why they wouldn't. Say we'll send Mark a message and Connor a message about it. They'll probably listen to the podcast anyway. But yeah, I think it's certainly something that will help us. And things as well, in terms of remembering player names and things like that, it could be an easier way to break it down for the fans anyway. Because it's quite obvious which players playing where and what they're doing and how they did. Rather than trying to watch a YouTube and work out, right, so number 17 is, and then you have to go back and check. It's that kind of thing. So no, I think that's really good, mate. I think that could really help us.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, that was well said. I'd never seen anything like this in football. I think it's fascinating. AI is clearly the direction we're going, and there's a lot of money in football. So data is key. Thank you both for sharing your insights. I certainly learned a lot today. Thank you again to our show sponsor, thekicksapp.com. And until next time, Susu.
Susu.
Bye, everyone.